No, he was like, "Fuck that shit," and made for his nearby truck. State police said. It's Thursday, September 10th, 2020. Episode 019, if you're keeping track. You are about to go down the rabbit hole with Joe and Brian. I'm Brian. With me, as always, sitting way over there doing the social distance thing, like the good little citizen that he is.
And
my good friend and good person. It's my good friend Joe. Joe, how you doing?
I'm well, and yourself?
It's another week kicking my ass, man. But it's better than the last week. I'm getting back into the swing of things. So
hey, you got to stop taking these ass kickings, man. This is becoming a habit for me.
I know. But taking the summer off of work, there's going to be some ramifications of it, and those ramifications are when you start back up again. I guess you get your ass kicked a lot in the first month. It's been about a month now, maybe a little over a month.
Oh yeah, I mean, you started didn't you start like the 27th of July, or thereabouts?
Yeah. Yes, I think it was the 27th. So, yeah. Anyway, not complaining. I'm good. I'm glad to have a job. Fortunate to have a job. So here, before we get started, let's since we are now citizens on the YouTubes, let's get that plug out of the way for anyone, for people out there to. What is it, Joe? Like, share, subscribe, like.
It's one of those two. They both work, but that's very serious business, man. Because I understand that there are some riots in LA over us not putting that out there. So if people want to know where to find it.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I mean, little things have large ramifications.
God damn you, Joe. That I don't know what to say to. I don't know what to even say to that, man.
Yeah, that's on your hands, man.
Jeez. Well, yes, everybody, please do subscribe and share. Share is the most important thing.
I think subscribe, like, and share. They're all very important.
But the more they share, the more people get to hear us, and the more they share, and before you know it, we're knocking on 1 billion listeners, not just 1 million.
Yeah. It could be a Joe and Brian Lightbringer.
That's right.
I don't know why that's so funny to me. Lightbringer.
Isn't that like another name for Lucifer?
Yes, it is. He was the Lucifer of Luke, L-U-C. That means light in Latin. And yes, that's a very good observation. I should stop using that.
Well,
Yeah, we're Satan. No. That is not us. We are not coded devil worshippers. We got to be careful of this type of stuff because there are people who will read that in. Yeah, so just to clear the air and set the record straight, we are and have never been devil worshippers of any sort or kind. I just thought that was a funny name.
I agree. Everything Joe said. Ditto. I agree.
Yeah, you can never be too careful. You see what happened when we didn't do the YouTube announcement last week. So I mean, jeez.
Yes. Yeah.
Can't have that.
Nope. All right, my man. What did the bartender bring you tonight?
The bartender was good to me. I got a screwdriver. It's a basically orange juice. I think I had this is not regular, just straight vodka. It's like an apple infused vodka,
Okay.
and poured over some lemon juice and some orange juice, and that's my drink. Good stuff.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
This, yeah. No one should be surprised by now, but I'm drinking coffee again.
Yeah, I am totally shocked and surprised because.
Well, here's the thing.
Is it decaf, man?
No, I don't have any decaf. But no, I haven't had it. I don't have any alcohol in the house, and I haven't had a chance to run out and get any. And
dude, that's a true sign of an alcoholic, man. No alcohol in the house.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Your secret is safe with me, Brian.
Anyway, I'm not. Like I think we determined. I'm not an. I don't think either of us are alcoholics. We're alcohol connoisseurs.
That's right. But so man, okay. So you're not gonna Irish it up? No Bailey's Irish cream to go along with it or anything?
You know, I put a little. I put a little agave syrup in it for some sweetener this time, and that's pretty good.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for it to cool down.
Yeah. Well, don't burn your face while drinking your coffee, because that would just be not a good look.
I won't do that again.
Okay. So what do we have in tap today?
Well, as I understand it, you have a small George Floyd update, and then I want to, and then I'm going to talk about this guy in Los Angeles named Dijon.
Yeah, but okay. So, but nothing on no development on Arbery, correct?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Yeah, we both looked for an update on Arbery, and nothing was found, and so. Yeah, I guess for this week there's nothing on Arbery. But you remember that lawyer who said we talked about this guy before that George Floyd killed himself?
The comedian.
Yeah. Well.
No. Well.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. He. No. Sadly, he's not a comedian. He's actually barred by the state of.
He's a real lawyer. He was a real guy. He was a real lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean. Kind of reminds me of the who's the lawyer in The Simpsons? I cannot remember his name to save my life, but that's who I imagine this guy to be, just saying some of the most ridiculous stuff. But
okay.
So we talked about a few weeks ago how the state of Minnesota was trying to get all of the cops to be tried together, and we thought that was a bad idea. And
yes.
Yes, and apparently. Apparently, Derek Chauvin's attorney believes so as well. The attorney for the former Minneapolis police officer, Derek Chauvin, filed a motion opposing a joint trial that would tie his case with 3 other defendants in the death of George Floyd. Defense attorney Eric Nelson's motion for a separate trial follows similar motions filed Tuesday by attorneys for the former officers. Tu Tao, J. Alexander Kung, and Thomas Lane. Chauvin is charged with second-degree murder, third-degree murder, second-degree manslaughter, and second-degree manslaughter in Floyd's death in May. Video of Chauvin with his knee on Floyd's neck was seen around the world and prompted days of unrest in the Twin Cities.
I never seen the logic in putting all 3 of them, trying them all 3 at the same time.
Well,
in the first place,
it seemed like the Minnesota thought, well, we want to save a few bucks. But in his motion, Nelson lays out a detailed explanation of case law that boils down to this argument: Chauvin's case is distinctly different than those and the other charges. Is distinctly different than those of the others charged in Floyd's death. He maintains that the defense for Tao, Kung, and Lane will be antagonistic, meaning the defendants will seek to blame each other, forcing the jury to choose who to convict. All right, so as is evident from the pretrial pleadings, the other three defendants are prepared to place blame for Floyd's death squarely on Mr. Chauvin's shoulders, he writes. Okay, and so that I guess that makes sense because in Allison's pleading to have them jointly try it together, he said that their defenses were not antagonistic, but anyone who looked at the tape and anyone who has a brain in their head, kind of like how we were saying earlier, if you were, any of those other guys, you would not want to be sitting next to George Floyd in Orange, right? Because
hell no.
You don't even want your name mentioned in the same sentence with him, much less be facing trial at the same time. So, let's see here. Conversely, Nilsen lays out a potential argument in his motion that Kong and Lane would actually be more responsible for Floyd's death than Chauvin, as Chauvin believes will be more responsible for Floyd's death, as Chauvin believes Floyd was foaming at the mouth, a sign he could have been suffering from fentanyl overdose. If Kong and Lane, who were at the scene first, had chosen to de-escalate the situation instead of struggle with him, or administered an antidote for the opioid overdose, Nelson argues that Floyd may have survived. So basically, he's saying that I did not know this, but so he's laying blame at the feet of the other guys for getting there first and not having administered an overdose, which would have prevented him from dying of he died of a heart attack, so that doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, I've said this from the beginning. Well, I've said this since I've seen that the entire body cam video is this should have been treated as a medical condition. Whoever was on the scene first should have treated it like a medical condition instead of trying to arrest him.
Well, and
even if you think he's guilty, fine, but take care of the medical things, and then if you have to go back and arrest him when he's not strung out on whatever he was strung out on.
Mm-hmm.
Fentanyl is like some nasty. That's just like some nasty shit, as I understand it.
Yeah. I've heard that stuff is multiple times more deadly than the other stuff, and
right.
You don't get to make a mistake with that stuff and survive, apparently.
Not very often.
But so Chauvin saying, "Hey, it's not my fault. The knee on the back of the neck didn't kill him. It was the fact that those other guys didn't administer an antidote for opioid overdose." Anyway, I guess that makes sense. But I still think that's an uphill battle. What say you?
I agree. That's going to be a stretch.
Yeah, it's like trying to find out how many people in the jury pool were suckers. It's like an IQ test, and if they fail to convict, well, we know what their IQ was. Probably less than their shoe size.
Well, there have been riots in Los Angeles, Joe, but despite your lies that you're telling about me, they are not my fault.
Lies? Oh!
This misinformation, this fake news that you're spreading about me, and I am not the cause of these Los Angeles, the turmoil in Los Angeles.
Okay, well, why don't you set me straight? If it wasn't you failing to announce to the people that were on YouTube, what could it possibly have been?
Well,
I'm at a loss for words. What is it? Yeah. Tell the people.
L.A. sheriff deputies fatally shoots a black man after suspected bike violation.
Oh, crap. A bike violation? Well,
yeah.
Quick question. In this bike violation, were their bodies this bike violation, was there anybody injured?
Well, I don't think so.
Well, aside from the guy that was shot, any dead bodies?
I don't think there was any dead bodies, man.
Was he a clear and present danger?
I don't know. I guess it's kind of sketchy, but I know. Let me read on a little bit here. A black man who was stopped on his bicycle for an alleged vehicle code violation was shot to death by 2 Los Angeles sheriff deputies who fired 15 to 20 rounds after the man punched one officer and dropped a pistol on the ground, authorities said on Tuesday.
Wait. So
I don't know if he dropped his pistol on the ground. I'm not sure how much of a threat he was, but
yeah, that's the crazy part. Fired 15 to 20 rounds after the man punched him. He was punched, and he punched a cop. I guess that's an automatic death sentence now. And then the other one was he dropped his pistol on the ground. So yeah, this seems more like an execution.
Semi-automatic. Whether the firearm was actually in his hand, if he was motioning towards it, I don't have those specifics because we haven't interviewed the actual deputies who were there yet. I was just curious. The reason this even caught my eye was I was just curious why this seems to have stayed localized to the Los Angeles area and hasn't. Because I mean, this sounds pretty fucked up too.
Yeah, but I think I've come to the realization that we know that the media is goes after what sells, right? Sex sells, and apparently unarmed or totally unarmed black men's deaths sell. So if he had a gun or ever had a gun, or I guess you can't get the same. The media is not going to put forth the same energy in pushing forward the story than if he was totally unarmed. That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, I have no answer. It was a legitimate question on my part. So I guess since there is a sliver of since there's a possibility that this guy was looking for trouble, that I don't know.
Now the crazy thing is that I mean, as you were saying last week, there, to my knowledge, him being in possession of a firearm is not illegal in and of itself, correct? So, I mean,
well,
whether or not he had a firearm, unless he was brandishing it and pointing it at the officers, that should not have resulted in his death.
I don't think you could make that same argument.
Why not?
Every state has its own firearm laws, and I'm quite sure that California's is a lot more strict than Missouri's, Wisconsin.
Yeah, but I mean, every state does have its law, but there is this thing we keep on talking about, Second Amendment, and whether or not a state has more strict laws or not doesn't mean because we have that Second Amendment, it doesn't matter what state he's in, he still has a right. The presumption is he has a right to bear arms.
Well, I don't know.
No,
yes,
we do. That is the Second Amendment. I mean, we had this kind of touches our conversation last week.
Okay.
And most, I mean, not a direct. I mean, but our conversation last week regarding the was it Frisch's, Mr. Big Boy.
Mm-hmm.
You acknowledge, and I agree that he did have. I mean, those counter protesters do have a right to be wherever they want to be, and they also have a right to brandish. To bear weapons. But I think you have something you want to say.
Yeah, I'm afraid that it's just it's different state to state. He was not breaking any Wisconsin laws, and I don't know what the circumstances were here, but I got a feeling that Los Angeles does not have an open carry law. Yeah, I understand. I understand I understand that what you're trying to shoehorn last week's argument into this, but I don't think it fits. It's two completely different states. States do, whether, there's all kinds of, the Second Amendment has been trounced upon all over the place, and so and I just don't think that that argument can fly in Los Angeles, California.
Can we shoehorn? Am I shoehorning it? Okay, yeah, they are totally different insofar as, this guy had a vehicle code violation, which means he was definitely a imminent threat to all those around him and his bike. Yeah.
Reckless operation.
Yeah, I mean, I want to know what the vehicle code was. Was he like riding on the wrong side of the road, going against traffic?
Yeah, I was wondering that myself.
I mean, or maybe he was riding on the sidewalk. I mean, but
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. I didn't read this entire article, but I don't think that it says. It just says was riding his bike in violation of the vehicle code. That sounds sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that kind of begs and cries out for further investigation. And it is. The silence is deafening that you're not hearing more about it. Do you think maybe presidential politics may have something to do with this?
Well, I could make the case for that. That didn't occur to me immediately, but when you say that, I could make the case for that. As I understand it, there was I think I'm not sure about. I think the name. I think it was Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon were speaking, and it's like they had the realization that all of this civil unrest that's going on in the country was not only hurting Biden, but was helping Trump in the polls, and so I think that's when you seen Biden and everyone start getting all of a sudden hard on the protests, and so yeah, I could see why. If all of a sudden if protests are hurting their man, then yeah, let's not have any more protests. So yeah, I could see how I could make that connection, I suppose.
But I did a little bit of reading further down. Let's see here. Prominent civil rights attorney Ben Crump, he always pops up, was also retained to represent Kazi's family. Posted on Twitter, they said he dropped clothes and a handgun, but didn't pick it up. But the cop shot him in the back 20 plus times, then left him for hours. 20 times in the back. Do you know he was shot in the back?
I think I heard. Yeah, I think I knew that.
Continuing, it says a neighbor who said they watched the scuffle and the shooting that followed from her home directly across the street from the scene told Reuters on Tuesday that she never saw Kizzy throw a punch, never saw a gun, and thought he wasn't a threat. Deja, can't pronounce her last name, 31, said the two deputies kept firing at Kesme even as he lay motionless, face down on the ground. Yeah.
20 shots in the back is pretty excessive. I don't care what the circumstances are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's even worse when you find out he's laying on the ground, face down, motionless.
Yeah.
So okay, well that's. I mean, See, when things like that happen, I think, and you may disagree with me on this, I think you almost have a responsibility to riot.
Well, this is a better. Yeah, look, I'm not against riot, or
I mean,
I'm not against riots, and I'm not against any of that. Really, I'm just what my point of from last week was. There's just going to start being pushback, depending on where you go. So,
well, and to your mind, the pushback should come from local residents.
it's going to come from local residents, especially if we were a few shows ago.
And the crazy thing is that Mr. Kyle was not a local resident. I'm sorry, you were saying.
No, I'm saying we're talking about this. We're wanting to go into this future where, depending on where you go, people want to ban the police. Well, okay, who do you think is going to fill that void? It's going to be these militias. And so,
Well, to that point, when you have, and this is once again, this is not holy writ. This is one of probably many reports, and I'm surprised somebody didn't get this on videotape. But when you have somebody getting shot in the back 15 or 20 times while laying on the ground motionless, it seems to me that these guys weren't. The two cops weren't much different than a bunch of untrained guys with guns running the streets, and so I guess they might as well be the same. No, but
well, look, Joe, riot is go ahead and riot. But like I think I said last week, these have all been co-opted. All of this has been co-opted, as everything always is. Yeah, maybe they're not rioting over George Floyd anymore. They weren't and probably people weren't rioting over Jacob whatever.
Well, it's Leash or Lesh.
And fine, go ahead and riot. They should riot over this, but make no mistakes that bad actors are going to see that as an opportunity to act bad. And
let's take a. You did something that I've noticed being done a lot in the media, and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but it seems as if you were using the word riot as opposed to protest.
Yeah, that's just bad on my part, and I've blended them together.
Well, and the reason I'm putting my finger on it is not just because I saw that you did it, but I've seen a lot of people do it. I saw the President of the United States do it when he was accepting his nomination for the nomination for the President of the United States 2 weeks ago, and so I don't think that I'm not blaming you for that. I think it's almost a concerted effort to conflate those two, and then I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. That's all. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just being lazy on my part.
Well, I think you may have been being what I would call innocently lazy, but I don't think. I think there are some people who are quite serious and intent on confusing those two terms in the minds of people.
Mm.
So yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, I think you get the benefit of the doubt because I know you and you're cool, but no, I think there is a serious effort to conflate those two.
I would not argue with that at all. I could totally. That just seems like a trick that people would use for sure.
But
well, let's move on from that. I want to just this will be quick because I think the bulk of this show is going to be pretty interesting. So I don't want to take away from very much of it. But I found this. This is just I just found this as interesting. and I'm not poking at you or anything like that.
Uh-oh.
This is all. This is just all in like fun, I guess. But I get a kick out. I love how I don't know. I get a kick out of how you say that or you believe that armed citizens, I guess, make you nervous, and to the point that you would say that they are inciting violence just by being there.
Okay, here's a question. Have you ever seen a man walking around like on a street corner with a AR-15 or an AK-47?
Well, AK-47s are illegal.
Oh, in the States. Okay, cool. But AR-15.
I've not an AR-15, but I have been in places and seen guys with handguns on their belts.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think that's different. I mean, it's different, but it's not. But I'm saying specifically an AR-15 and literally an assault rifle. Have you ever seen that? Just somebody just standing on the street with a AR-15.
I have not seen that.
I've been abroad a couple times, and I've seen it there, and I guess because I'm not accustomed to seeing it, it does catch your attention in a way that there's not much like it. And so it is. I mean,
I think that if the people that are going to go that far, who are going to have a gun license and have their name on a list somewhere, and who are going to go out and actually go in public like that, those people are probably the last ones you need to worry about doing anything, because they know they're under a microscope, and they're not going to do anything. Not unless they're absolutely provoked. I would not feel nervous or scared around a group of people like that.
Really?
I would.
I guess my thing would be like, and to my mind, if there's no gun, there's no possibility of anyone getting shot. When there are multiple people with multiple guns, you increase your chances of somebody getting shot, exponentially. And so, I mean, I understand. It seems as if you're making the argument, the whole, good guy with a gun, and only good things flow from it, except for when they don't. And like I mean, if from my very first beat on Big Boy, Kyle Rittenhouse, he didn't seem to be like and this is me not knowing, and from a few curated pictures that have come out about him, he didn't seem like an aggressive, mean guy or anything like that. But But okay, what do you were going to play something for us?
Yeah, I just had a. When we talk about inciting violence, I just this jumped to mind, and I remember hearing like Maxine Waters go out and I don't know. You always hear this. You constantly heard stories about Trump supporters being accosted in public all the time. I've never heard a story yet about a Trump supporter going out and beating up Joe Biden people or anything like that. It's always.
What about that guy in Chicago?
What guy in Chicago?
Jesse Smollett.
Oh Jesus!
I'm sorry. You remember that?
Yeah. So, look, you're just trying to step all over my funny lines tonight, aren't you?
I'm sorry. I'm a bastard today. Sorry. Please continue.
So anyway, I just, when it comes to inciting violence, I just want to make sure that no one forgets that we have these people in this country.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
What the freak?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Well, sorry about all that dramatic,
man?
with all that dramatic music in the background. But you know what? Seriously, that is actually the reason. That's the reason why there's no way in fuck that I would put a "Make America Great" sticker on my car or wear a red hat out in public, man.
But yeah, my previous question: where's the laugh track?
Was that funny?
It was funny, boo-hoo, but I mean, so these guys were all using words, right?
Well, that makes me a lot more nervous than seeing a bunch of guys with guns.
Well, we don't enjoy the same reality because never in my life would I say that I would feel more comfortable with a bunch of armed guys than a bunch of, for the most part, women and men running their mouths.
But what about all the attacks that had resulted from those? You can't say that shit and then disown it. They said all that stuff, and plenty of people have acted on those words.
Let's see here. That was there were more than a few things that happened there in that clip. But yeah, I think what you did is you had you were able to find a montage of kooks, all of which without guns, exercising their First Amendment right to free speech. That's how these are kooks that run. Okay. No, you were saying?
You're loaded for bear today, man.
No, I'm not. Sorry. I mean, you were saying I interrupted you again. I'm sorry.
You calling these people kooks? These are the leaders of the Democrat Party.
I still stand by
it. And their mouthpieces in the press.
Right.
Are they kooks? Are they?
Well, I mean, for the person that they want to kill the president or take out the president, and even the whole accosting, people who work for the Trump administration, I think that's kookish. I don't stand by that. But to say that I guess the part that maybe I am loaded for bear insofar as I just heard you say that. Listen, I mean, those people's words are of more concern to you than a group of armed men. That's the part that we just like I said, we don't enjoy the same reality.
Mm.
So it's not that I'm not gunning for Brian, but I'm like, wait a second, we didn't, I can't let. Come on now, I mean, really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I point out that these every time that these big large groups of people with guns have shown up, nothing's ever happened.
But and we're talking about this from last week as well. But it seems as if you said earlier that everyone on the right side of the spectrum was surprised that it hasn't happened. Something hasn't happened sooner. And so, to me, once again, if it's foreseeable like that, and you're surprised that people haven't been shot in the streets, and then you show up, you're inciting things. It just is simple as that to me.
All right.
So there you have it.
There you have it. So I don't think anyone's going to argue that this week, news-wise, has not been the greatest for dear leader.
Dear leader. Where are we again, man?
No, the
other dear leader.
I affectionately call him the Don, but yeah, people they've been out for him this week. It started off with the Atlantic article, and then Bob Woodward's book. There's a lot to unpack there. You want to start anywhere particular?
Let's go with the Atlantic article.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm looking for it. There it is. And so the Atlantic article was written, and I think what was it? Let me see here. Pull that up. Let's see here. Suckers and Losers by Jeffrey Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it was an article on which basically what Trump was reportedly said something that were less than presidential. Basically, calling people who had died in war suckers and losers. And if you know anything about, if you've ever listened to Trump speak in public, he has nothing but positive, loving things to say about the troops. But it's reported that he said, let's see here, when President Donald Trump canceled a visit to an American cemetery near Paris in 2018, he blamed the rain for the last-minute cancellation, saying that the helicopter couldn't fly and that the Secret Service wouldn't drive him there. Neither was true. Trump rejected the idea of the visit because he feared his hair would become disheveled in the rain, and not because he believed it was important to honor American war dead. And so, yeah, basically the article says that he said a whole bunch of not so nice things about American fallen. What do you think about that?
Well, let me take a step back and frame this in a way that I think is going to apply to just about every article like this.
Yeah.
There's going to be people who hear this and are like, no, it's just bullshit. But there's also going to be about half the country that's going to hear that and say, yeah, I believe it. And it's just that's just the way that it is. I don't buy this, and I'm prepared to make my case why I think this is bullshit.
And we're going to get to that, but I guess like when I hear this type of thing, the very first thing I think of is, could you hear him? Could you imagine the guy saying something like that? So if somebody was like, oh yeah, Brian, yeah, he just flipped his wig and he was just like, just cursing and all sorts of expletives, and he was throwing the N-word around and X, Y, and Z, I'd be like, you know what? I've known Brian for long enough to realize I don't on its face, I don't necessarily countenance that if that makes sense. Like there are certain things I can picture you saying, and there's certain things I can't picture you saying, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah, and so the idea of Trump calling people losers and suckers, I mean, that sounds like the Trump I know. I can imagine him calling somebody a loser or a sucker. Okay? And so at that very first instinct, I'm like, okay, well, does it sound like something he would say? Yes. But I guess my point of view is that, you were about to say something?
He obviously has no problem calling people losers and suckers, but I don't hear him saying that about our military or the people who have died in service.
Yeah, and so apparently he didn't want to, according to this article, he didn't want to go because the rain would make his hair disheveled, and he is quoted as saying, or supposedly have said, "Why should I go to the cemetery? It's filled with losers." In a separate conversation on the same trip, Trump referred to more than 1,800 Marines who lost their lives as suckers for getting killed.
Yeah, I just don't buy it, man.
Right, so
this is the problem when people write these kinds of hit pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they can't restrain themselves, and they have to just let their full
crazy
imagination run. It's like that whole, like as soon as I heard like that dossier, that Russian dossier, as soon as I heard the story about him hiring prostitutes to pee on the bed, I was like, all right, this is just all fiction.
Mm-hmm. But so we are in agreement that we could imagine Trump calling people losers and suckers. But and I would also say that we're in agreement in that I couldn't imagine him saying that. Well, I could imagine him saying that before he was president, like to some of his buddies and stuff like that. But I couldn't imagine him saying that while president. If that makes sense. Because
it does make sense.
He's gone on a record, be like, oh yeah, I didn't go to the Vietnam War. I had my own little personal Vietnam War, avoiding VD. I mean, that he's quoted about saying that. I agree with you in that. I think we both agree insofar as it sounds like something he could say. That if someone were to say, yeah, Trump called somebody a sucker, you're like, oh yeah, I can imagine him saying that. But we also seem to be in agreement that we couldn't imagine him calling these people suckers in his capacity as president.
Right.
Do we agree on that?
Yes, we have agreed on that.
Good. Oh, good. But I guess, have you read the article?
I have.
And besides Trump and John Kelly, were there any sources attributed to it?
Well, that's the thing that jumped out at me the most, is that there were no sources that were named. And I went through the article, and I've highlighted every place that someone was referenced, like I'm not going to read the entire article, but I just want to jump through these. According to 4 people with first-hand knowledge of the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
According to 3 sources with direct knowledge of this event. According to sources with knowledge of the president's views. According to 3 sources with direct knowledge of his views.
Mm-hmm.
According to sources with knowledge of this visit.
It sounded like you press Control F and then just typed the word according, because
yeah, that'll find most of them.
Or sources, but
Kelly, who declined to comment for the story, One of Kelly's friends, a retired 4-star general.
So how many of these references have you counted up thus far? Like 4 or 5?
I haven't counted. Let me count them here in a second. According to eyewitnesses and one officer with firsthand knowledge of Trump's views. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I think it's 9.
Holy crap!
But beyond that, I've there's just Jeffrey Goldberg is just I don't. Here's a few of I went through, and here's a few more of his articles for the Atlantic. James Mattis denounces President Trump, describes him as a threat to the Constitution. Another article: the man who couldn't take it anymore. I had no choice but to leave, General James Mattis says of his decision to resign as President Trump's Secretary of Defense. He's getting worse. Trump is turning the American presidency into a platform for the wholesale demonization of minorities. Impeachment, an argument.
Okay, so I get the feeling that this Jeffrey Goldberg guy isn't a fan. I mean, just
But it's beyond. But there's some more things. It's interesting about this Goldberg was. I don't have a note of where I got this from, but this is in reference to him talking about Goldberg. In 2002, as neoconservatives and other foreign policy hardliners were gearing up to push the United States into war with Iraq, Goldberg published a high-profile article in The New Yorker titled "The Great Terror," which spotlighted the case for invading the country, in part by using discredited sources, both in Iraq as well as in George W. Bush's administration, to argue that Saddam Hussein was in league with al-Qaeda. During the lead-up to the Iraq War, Goldberg made media appearances and published several articles criticizing opponents of the invasion for being naive about Middle East politics. He made exaggerated claims about Hussein's regime's efforts to weaponize biological agents and grossly underestimate the impact of an invasion. So this dude is just all in with the globalists.
It seems like he doesn't like Trump, and he's been wrong in the past, which practically half the country could also fit that description as well. Not liking Trump and having been for the Gulf War.
Was he wrong, really wrong, or was he just kind of like writing what his masters told him to write?
All of the above. I mean, he was very wrong. There's no doubt about that, about the whole Gulf War thing, invading Iraq, and he probably was, taking notes. There was probably somebody, putting that information in front of him. So yeah, I could see both of those being the case. That he was wrong, and he was taking orders from his paymaster.
Yeah, and I guess my final argument, for what it's worth, the Atlantic is pretty much owned by Lorena Powell, who is Steve Jobs' widow, and not only does she pretty much own and run the Atlantic, I think she is like one of the biggest individual donors to the Biden campaign. So. I just, I don't trust the source. I don't believe the article. But I say that, but I want to go back to what I said before. I realize that it's the one movie and two people watching it, but seeing different things,
Mm-hmm.
And so some people who have the predisposition could read that article and believe it 110%, and because it jives with what what is it? It's
their existing biases.
Yeah, there's a really intelligent word for this that I so wish I could have just spit it out like it was second nature to me and made me sound really smart, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, coffee will slow you down, man. I mean, but
cognitive dissonance.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking prejudice. I'm like, okay, you said a word. That's like two of them. But so, today I am that guy. I am sorry, Brian. I am, insufferable. But I agree. I think we're kind of lockstep in this one. But I think the biggest thing that came to my mind after reading the article was journalistic malpractice. And I think if we did not have a First Amendment and freedom of the press, if we were in almost any, well, I don't know almost any, but a lot of other countries in the world, somebody would be going to jail over this.
Yeah, that I can't argue. I wouldn't argue with that. That's
because the whole not having any sources. That's some. I mean, and listening to Trump talk about it, I mean, the words he used to describe someone who would say that was, that sounded like to me a monster would say.
Yeah. And
it's very little short of monstrous to think of a person, especially as a president of the United States.
The thing that jumped at me also when I first heard it, as I was like, and I was thinking that whoever the Goldberg was playing off was counting on people remembering what Trump said about McCain when he first announced, called him, I like my heroes that don't get captured or whatever.
He's like, yeah, he was a hero because he was captured.
Yeah, something like that. So. Yeah. So when I first heard this, I thought that this article was maybe written to try to make that connection in people's heads, but I don't know.
But another thing that sprung to mind in listening to this article, and this is going to be kind of weird, what sprang to mind was the whole deep state thing. The idea that there are entrenched interests that have a very large stake in how American foreign policy turns out, and that they will do things through unofficial channels to help push for whatever their policy end is. So, the idea that private quotes like this, or private conversations like this, end up in the on the front page of the news. I mean, how many times? And this is quick question: how many times did you hear things that were unflattering that let's say Obama may have said while he was the president for 8 years? Do you ever recall hearing any stories like that?
Stories about people saying unflattering things about him?
No. Stories about Obama saying unflattering things about anything.
Not to the extent that Trump does now.
Now, my experience has been is that for the most part, the people who are around the president, if he's saying stuff and talking about things that may be off color, typically that stuff doesn't show up on the front page of somebody's newspaper as a general rule. And the fact that this has happened to Trump so often, in fact, the guy was he was impeached over basically somebody being in his inner circle, hearing something, and then telling everybody about it. And so that made me think, okay, that makes me think there is something larger at play here than just this guy says a bunch of stuff that's doofus and ill-advised. If that makes sense.
I see where you're coming from now.
Yeah, and so I mean, I read the article, and my three takeaways were with journalistic malpractice, no sources, and deep state. Literally.
Let me play this clip. This could be this clip might give us an idea of why the deep state's a little pissed off at Trump right about now. Although I think this just came out a couple days ago, but I found this interesting.
I'm not saying the military is in love with me. The soldiers are. The top people in the Pentagon probably aren't, because they want to do nothing but fight wars so that all of those wonderful companies that make the bombs and make the planes and make everything else stay happy.
You better watch talking that kind of smack, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say something, but I don't want the Secret Service showing up at my door tomorrow.
Yeah, people who talk smack about the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
Oftentimes things don't end well with them.
Yeah, and doesn't matter if you're the president or some schmuck doing a podcast.
Right.
Maybe we should self-censor. Nah. Your thoughts on that? On that comment?
Yeah, it's. I think he called him out on the carpet, man. It's like he drew this distinction in the military between the troops and the brass,
Mm-hmm.
and he may be right in that the troops might support him, maybe more than maybe some other populations, but I think he nailed. I think he's like calling the brass out, and is you better be careful. But
I think so too. He should be careful.
Didn't JFK give a speech where he kind of badmouthed? I know that wasn't it Eisenhower who gave the famous military industrial complex speech.
Yeah, and notice he did that while going out the door.
And he was leaving. Yeah, he was going out the door. But didn't JFK reference it sometime? I thought he might have. But
I mean, it would be surprising to me if he didn't, because in the time that in which he was operating, the 60s, during the height of the Cold War, both countries leveraging up and getting nukes and getting ready to kill everything on Earth. That's it's pretty ugly.
Well, he said it. The cat's out of the bag now. We'll see what happens. But God damn, it's going to be an exciting 2 or 3 months, man.
Well, one other quick thing. I mean, so you've we talked about him dogging McCain over and over again. It's like maybe that's probably one of Trump's favorite pastime is, kicking, dancing on McCain's grave. But and I will say there are a lot of things that are not to be liked about Trump and his administration. But one thing that everyone should be very happy about is that we haven't found ourselves in any new wars, we're not droning stuff. I mean, I think I asked you this a few weeks ago offline. When was the last time you heard about a drone strike?
Yeah.
I listen for this type of stuff. The last one I remember hearing about was when they went after her and killed the Iranian general, the Soleimani guy.
Did you? So was that? That's an astute observation that you've made there. I hadn't really thought about it, but I had heard. I don't know who I was. I have different sound news clips get downloaded, and I listen to them in the morning. And I can't remember who it was. It might have been Carl Tuckerson, but he was talking about how this was the first administration in decades that there haven't been any new wars started up.
Oh, and mind you, I'm a guy that watches this stuff closely, and I think he's the only president within recent memory that I can think of that didn't have somebody he was going after. So, Bush was going. Bush 2 didn't come in going after somebody. He found a target after they gave him 9/11. Obama came in pledging to go after Al Qaeda and expand the war in Afghanistan. Trump came in saying, "I'm going to bring our guys home." And like I said, there are a lot of things that he does and says that I think are totally abhorrent. But the fact that we're not in any new foreign wars and sending American soldiers to fight, die, and kill and shed and spill blood is somebody should shake his hand. And
he did get nominated for that Nobel Peace Prize. Anybody want to put money down on whether he wins that?
He is too unpopular.
Nah, he's not going to win it. You're right. He's too unpopular.
But Obama got it.
He didn't even. I think he got it before he even took office, didn't he? They should have done that.
I think he maybe was like in office for a month when he got it. We can look that up.
Yeah.
This year.
They should have really. They should have. When they did that for Obama, they almost made it a joke. They should have waited, let him do something noteworthy, and then given it to him. Because that was just like, oh, we're going to give it to you because you're the first black president. You made history, so here, take this.
Well, the crazy thing is that Obama was actually there was an article that came out actually a while ago where Ilhan Omar, the one of the chicks that's in the squad, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know who she is.
Yeah, basically saying that Obama was a pretty face. Used his pretty face to get away with murder, and I believed that before, but I hadn't heard anyone else put those words to it. That under Obama we ramped up our foreign adventures, and in fact, I remember at one time while he was president, we had military operations in at least 6 or 7 countries where there wasn't an actual declared war. Congress wasn't involved. No one appropriated any money. We were just, blowing stuff up and droning stuff. It's just, kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. The most recent one I think was as he was going out of office was all that shit that went down in Syria. You started hearing all those stories about Assad gassing his own people, and again those stories have kind of turned out to
and the barrel bombs.
And people, now people are questioning the authenticity of even those reports now because, there's kind of like when they want to go to war with a country, that's kind of like their modus operandi, right?
Yeah.
When it was Iraq, it was all these. What was in Iraq? They said. All kinds of like in nurseries. There's like just
stabbing babies and rape.
Yeah, just all that, and then Gaddafi in Libya. He had like a rape rooms under his castle. It's just whenever they're wanting to invade someplace, they can find plenty of things that happen to just tug at people's heartstrings.
Yeah, things that piss people off. Like, hey, not on my watch.
Yeah. So.
But hey, I'm gonna send some stuff your way about Obama.
Okay.
And it's kind of conspiratorial, but I'm not gonna bring it up here. But I want to run it by you to see your thoughts, and this may be the basis of a future show or something like that. But just for good measure. I want you to see it.
I like a good conspiracy.
This one is a doozy.
Okay.
Doozy. And you'll be happy because I first came across it from MoFax.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but I will say this about MoFax. A lot of great information, but one of the things I don't like about him is that he does seem to lean quite heavily on the whole conspiracy piece.
At times, right?
Yeah, and it's like it's like really, but
and again, like 2.5 or 3 hour shows are just hard to digest it. But
yeah, that's no doubt.
But yeah, but I like getting information. I like the stuff he comes up with, man.
Yeah, and let's see here. What else do we have for Trump's bad news week?
Well, the Bob Woodward book.
Oh yes,
has a lot of good bad stuff in it, but it's like more of this. It's more of the same. It's like Trump supporters aren't going to buy it. Trump haters eat it up, and I was like, have you ever read an article or a book or something that fundamentally changed the way you thought about something?
Yes.
Have you? How many times?
How many times did I read that book, or how many books?
No. How many times have you had a book or an article or something fundamentally change your thoughts on something?
Maybe once or twice in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, oftentimes you're right. People, they will have an opinion on something, and then everything else is going out and finding, media, books, videos that kind of confirm that opinion. Yeah. But let's see here. You have a quote from the book or from the article?
I'm afraid that I spent all my week to cut down this Atlantic article, and I just I really did. I was, and then it's like, and then all of a sudden this comes out, and I was like, fuck.
You did seem to have a lot of information. You tracked down the owner.
I was ready. I was ready.
I was. And you said Joe showed up hunting for bear, huh?
And then it's like, the show comes and this Woodward book comes out and kind of pushed the Atlantic article off the front page. But so I'm going to rely on you to give me some good choice quotes out of this book if you have them handy.
Okay, I got an article, not out of the book.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have anything from the book. I just have some of the fallout of him having.
That's what we want anyway.
Bob Woodward is facing widespread criticism for only now revealing Donald Trump's early concerns about the severity of the coronavirus. Okay, that's actually wrong. Basically, the book says that amongst other things, Trump had misgivings and concerns that the coronavirus was much worse than he publicly acknowledged. So, he was briefed by I guess his national security team that this whole corona thing was happening, that it was going to be a big deal, and that it could even be one of the significant challenges of his presidency. And instead of going out and saying, "Oh my God, the sky's going to fall," and communicating the severity of concern, instead he went out and downplayed how bad it was, comparing the coronavirus to a cold or a flu, and that it was not that big of a deal. And when the coronavirus first came out, he was going out and doing that quite a bit, saying, "Hey, it's not that big of a deal. This is going to disappear. It'll magically go away when the weather gets warm." But at the same time, he knew, or had been given information that this is 5 times more deadly than the flu, and that a lot of people were going to die. And so that's the long and short of the big revelation from the book. But yeah.
I can make the rose-colored glasses argument for that, or I could see why it was a bad thing. I don't know.
Let me read this quote. In Woodward's up-and-coming book on Trump, Rage, the president is quoted as saying the virus is highly contagious and deadly stuff. And at the time, he was publicly dismissing that it was no worse than the flu. And so it's funny because you were just saying that. Sorry, what were you saying?
Well, I could make an argument for why he would downplay the severity of it, and I think it's a legitimate argument. But then again, it's still just it can easily be dismissed as just I support Trump, so I'm going to make excuses for him.
Let's hear it though. I'd like to hear it.
Well, I really think that it was just to keep America calm. I mean, look at how batshit crazy we went anyway with what he was saying. I.e. the whole stores being run out of supplies and
you can find toilet tissue,
toilet paper, of course, the toilet paper thing and all that. And I mean, America, large people in large groups are fucking stupid, and so if we had a president come out basically saying that, hey, we're, a bunch of you people are probably going to die this summer.
Like grandma is not going to make it through the summer. Okay.
Yeah. It's like that would be bad. And so I could see why keeping, there's a reason why, I envision like all those scenes in movies, where the cop's partner is shot and is dying, and the cop is like kneeling over him, and he's like, "You're going to be all right, buddy." It's just a flesh wound, while the guy's guts are like strung out all over the place. He's like, "You're just going to be fine. It's
okay, buddy. You're going to make it home. You're going to be home for dinner tonight."
Yeah, well, there's a reason you say that, man. There's a reason that sometimes it's okay to lie like that. So that's my apologist's view on what Trump was. Because if Trump would have come out and said, just given this apocalyptic,
will be stacking from the sky,
right? Yeah. So I don't dare even imagine how we as a country would have reacted to that.
I think there would have been probably mass hysteria. Like you've heard people say, "Oh yeah, it's time to stock up on beans, bullets, and
yeah,
rice or something like that." Yeah. I think it would have been we would have really gone into that. It's funny because you used a word just now that we talked about a few weeks ago. Apologist.
Oh, yeah.
But it's funny. I was making that I was having a conversation and I made that same point that I didn't do as good a job as you did. The whole you're gonna be all right, buddy. That was Rich.
When your friend tells you that, you're done. It's over.
Fuck, I'm dead. Awful. But I mean, thank you for that because it needed to be said. So what do you think about this? So you think, okay, yeah, and unfortunately, I think I agree with you again on this one. That kind of like what you said, an individual can be, reasoned, can think through stuff, and not be prone to fits of emotion. But you take a bunch of individuals and put them in a group. Now all of a sudden, it kind of seems like it's you're going to get the lowest common denominator as the mass reaction, so to speak. So
unfortunately, but that's the way it seems to go.
Well,
yeah.
Well, thankfully for us, we're not going to find out what would have happened had he been like, "Oh my God, the sky's falling and Grandma's not going to make it."
Yeah, let me kind of. I don't know how. I'm going to say wrap up on this, but if you have more to go, we can go on. But I feel like at this point, these articles are coming out, and we're going to be getting. I expect that there's going to be next week. There's going to be some other bombs dropped, and I almost would want to think that the globalists, the elites, whoever they are, they're finally coming to terms with just how much of a ass kicking Biden is about to receive, and they're panicking. And I think we're going to that this is just whatever we got, guys. Let's throw it and
everything, including the kitchen sink.
Yeah, it only takes one solid land to knock a person out. So let's just throw everything we have. But I also kind of feel I think I told you before the show. I just don't believe any of these polls that are saying that Biden is ahead in all these states, and that I really don't want to. I know saying shit like this is going to set me up for a Hillary Clinton like hangover after post-election, but I really feel like that now that the whole Trump thing is it's just like that snowball that started out as a little snowball at the top of the mountain, and it keeps growing and picking up speed as it goes down the hill, and it's just inevitable now. Trump is just gonna roll over. I mean, he's come through this entire summer of shutdown, and the economy is bad, but it's not as horrible as people were expecting it to be, and it's turning out that people aren't dying like we were expecting to die, and I just think that everything's coming up Trump right now, and he's gonna. I just think that his re-election is inevitable, and these are just attempts, last ditch attempts to stop it somehow.
Well, I mean, I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. The fact that there wasn't, that it was even close. That it was close in the very first place. Should be a warning flag for everyone that the Democrats weren't likely to win. That you had all this stuff happening. You have a global pandemic that could be blamed on the person sitting in the White House. You have 180,000 people dead. You got an economy that's where you have millions of people out of work. All those things happening, and it's not like a blowout. So that was my first sign that it's likely.
Yeah, you made that point. That was a good point.
But so I mean, the battleground states. You say you don't believe the polls.
I just, I don't, but I'll tell you, my reason is just, you just feel it. I don't know how to explain it, but there's just a feeling, and I felt this during both Obama elections. There was just this feeling in the country, this sense that you just knew that Obama was going to win and was going to win big. I could tell both elections. I just knew that he was. I supported. I hate to say this, but I voted for McCain, and I voted for Romney.
I was just about to ask you if you voted for McCain, because I just know that where Brian comes from, McCain may well have been.
I know.
Yeah, I mean.
But even though I voted for him, I knew, I just had this feeling that
it's like beating up an old
man. Obama was gonna just roll, and I have that feeling. I just get that sense now. I mean, I don't see excitement for Joe anywhere. I can drive around, and I know that this is all anecdotal bullshit, but I can drive around, and I don't I went home. I went home to see Mom and my family this past weekend, and I see almost every house. I seen Trump signs out in the yards and everything, and I think I seen one Biden sign.
Yeah, but in that area, I mean, in the area your folks live in, that's already a heavily Republican area anyway, right?
It is. I acknowledge that. But
had you been driving through Hillary country, let's say in the city center, would be a better indication of excitement for Biden. I don't disagree with you. I live in what should be the heart of Biden country. And I mean, from my experience, I mean, in 2016, there was no doubt that it seemed like there was a Hillary Clinton sign on every other house in my neighborhood. And I can drive through my neighborhood now and count the Biden signs on less than one hand. There just isn't the excitement out there for it.
Wow.
In my opinion. But I think we should do a show next week where we talk about the race. Or maybe we have like a show maybe the week of the election where we give our predictions.
You know what would be fun is for us to do an election evening show.
Hey, that's an idea that might have legs, man.
That could be fun. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if we would do it on this stream or find something else. I don't know, but I think to watch the results come in live could be fun.
Let's
investigate.
Yeah, that idea has legs, I think. Let's offline.
Yeah.
What else do we have for today?
Well,
one last thing. Of the bad news that came out for Trump this week. What do you think will be as most impactful, most likely to make people question him?
I don't think any of it will. Like I said, I think the people, his supporters, are going to dismiss it. His detractors are going to get behind it, and I don't think it'll go beyond that.
I think the story that's most likely to impact Trump in a negative way will be the Woodward story. If for no other reason that there's an audio tape of him saying this stuff, and I think you're right. There is valid reason for him to have kept the temperature lower than
right,
running out and saying, "Oh my God, the sky's falling." But for people who, I mean, supposedly, this election is going to be decided by people who are on the fence.
That's what they always say, right?
Yeah, which I never understood. Like, so Clinton versus Trump. If you're like the week before the election and you still haven't made up your mind, you're probably a retard who shouldn't be voting in the first place.
It almost makes you wonder if this great undecided really exists.
Yeah, I guess if you just woke up from a coma, if you woke up from a coma the week of the election, you can be undecided. But if you've been alive, kicking, and not under a rock for a year before the election, there's no reason to get up. I'm just so undecided. I just want a news commentator to be like, okay, you retards, how can you not know? It's black and white.
I've long thought that was fun. That was funny or odd or whatever. I actually knew someone. You knew her too. It was a friend. It was a.
Is she the one that was on both teams and then chose the right team?
Yes, you do know her.
Yeah.
But she would be like that when it came election. No politics at all out of her mouth for 4 years. But then, like 3 months before the election, it was making. It was like all of a sudden pros and cons of each candidate and this and that, and I just.
Well, 3 months out, okay. Let's say you live life and politics isn't your life. You don't care about it. 3 months out to be undecided, okay. But the week of, oftentimes these stories, the stories you'll see some news personality in a room with a bunch of quote unquote undecided voters. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can't believe you guys actually get on TV And be
Oh, they always do that. Every election they have that group. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's funny.
And like, to me, if it was that close to the election and I was still genuinely undecided, I'd
have to wear a mask.
Yeah, my face would be in a paper bag.
Yeah.
Before I would go on national television and be like, yeah, I just don't know. It's like, stupid.
Well, Joe, in the interest of time, let's make a choice. We can do the Labor Day talk, or we can do the Detroit judge story. What?
We can. Let's go to your skullduggery.
We're just going to jump straight to the skullduggery, huh?
Yeah, we don't want to go. I mean, how's your battery life looking?
I without anyone even realizing it, I came back into the other room and plugged my laptop back in. So I'm on juice now. So
I was talking that much, huh?
So we're not limited by battery, only by time now.
How close are we coming up against that hour 30?
We're probably at an hour 30 now.
Let's go to skullduggery.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you got for us, man?
This is I'll just read it. This is fun. Dr. Dre, estranged wife, justifies $2 million a month child support.
You know what? She's entitled to every dime. You know why? Because I'm sure she was hoping to write those raps, and she probably spent some time in the sound booth doing some raps, as well, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure she was. I mean, she was probably the power behind the throne.
Yeah.
No?
I'm somehow thinking no.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre's estranged wife claims in legal docs Dre was violent with her in the past, and she also ticked off why she needs nearly $2 million a month in temporary spousal support while their divorce winds its way through the legal system. And the expenses she lists are eye-popping. So people, check your eyes, because I'm going to read through this list, and we don't want no eye-popping going on.
And before you do it, let me make sure I sit down.
Sit down.
Yeah, comfortable. And I don't want to I also want to make sure I don't fall out of my chair. Right, I'm ready.
Laundry and cleaning, $10,000 a month.
Really? Yeah. Wait.
Clothes, $135,000 a month.
Yeah.
Dude, I spend less than $300 within like 3 years on clothes. I don't buy a lot of clothes.
Oh, Mom. See, this is one of those things where she's gonna, the judge's gonna be like, okay, she's obviously crazy, and as a result, she probably should have access to the kids.
No.
$10,000 for laundry?
Yeah.
You had me there.
Yeah. $135 a month for clothes. Education, tuition and living expenses, $60,000 a month.
Where do the kids go to school?
Don't know, man.
All right, how many kids does he have?
Dude, check this. Entertainment, $900,000 a month. What are you doing over there, man? You you putting your Glock together or what, man?
Yeah. What do you mean? You hear some sounds?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out where I can go and rob this.
It sounds like you're putting a gun together or something, man.
It does. I'm sorry, maybe that's me clenching my teeth.
Charitable contributions, a mere $125 a month. $125,000 a month.
That's less than their clothing?
It is less than the clothing.
Shame.
A mortgage is $100,000 a month. That's a hell of a payment.
Wait, so she put 9 times more into entertainment than she did to her mortgage?
Yep.
Yeah.
Telephone, cell phone, email, $20,000 a month.
Yeah.
Email's free, honey.
Well, maybe not.
In all, she says she actually has a monthly nut of $2.5 million.
that's why he's quitting her, and that's probably why he was violent. No, I can't say that. I take that back. I was joking there. There's never a reason to be violent with a woman, ever. Actually, if she's attacking you or threatening your life, but yeah, you should not be slapping women around.
Yeah, I've heard. I believe that he is a serial woman abuser. I've heard stories about him from way back, but
didn't he choke out one of TLC or something, or slap her or choke her out or something like that?
There was this woman named Dee Barnes, and she was, I can't remember. I'm not sure if she was ever a member of a group, but she hosted like a hip hop show. And I don't know what happened, but I heard that he choked her out, and then there was this like a Lifetime movie that was about this singer named Michelle A, and she was around during the beginning of when Dr. Dre and NWA and all those really took off, and I think she was Dr. Dre's girlfriend for a while, and that movie, which is supposed to be a biopic or whatever of her life, he it's just it showed him as an abusive person, and he might be a musical genius, but everyone has their flaws.
Yeah, and musical, and I just want to make sure I drive this one home. Musical genius or not, there's no reason to hit on or beat women.
Oh, absolutely! Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But you were saying that said.
Yeah, but I don't know. I seen this story and it was like, we have to talk about that.
And that's why that's why you're part of the team, man. Because I totally dropped the ball in terms of bringing this story to the fore. It needed to be talked about.
Oh, can I let me read one more story. I have to read this story. This is almost richer than the Dr. Dre story.
Well, let's hear it.
And this is a short one, folks. Oregon hunter, 66, gored to death by a bull elk that he had shot and injured with an arrow the previous day.
That's terrible, and a terrible way to go too. But that elk is like Moby Dick. He remembered.
Yeah, he was like, "I'm going to kill you, motherfucker."
Yeah, I'll see you in hell.
An archery hunter was killed by an enraged elk on Sunday, August 30th, when he went in search of the animal. I could say this. I can like I said last week about don't chase people with guns and you won't get shot.
Yeah.
Don't chase pissed off elk and you won't get gored.
Yeah, especially ones that you shot.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he shot the elk. The elk was like, okay, he shook it off, ran off into the woods.
Yeah, and I believe it. Have you seen the size of those fucking things, man?
Oh yeah, all the more reason that
it's unreal.
He should brought he should. Yeah, that's.
He was probably telling his buddies, they don't. The elk are stupid. They don't remember any. They don't remember. They won't remember who I am.
Yeah, but apparently this elk died.
Jesus.
It's terrible that I'm laughing at someone's death, and sorry, but that's.
I consider this like the purest form, man.
Yeah.
A hunter. That this should be how a hunter would want to die. It's man against animal. Even though man has the opposable thumbs and the weaponry. Sometimes wild wins, man.
I remember totally related, not related. Mom, we were talking about bullfighting one time, and she was like, "Yeah, it would be fair if they gave the bull a sword too."
What's I think that when the bull does best the matador, they should let him go or something.
Oh yeah. He should spend the rest of his life as a stag someplace because they need more like him.
I guess he's probably in such a. I mean, have you how they during the bullfight they slowly are like putting blades in the thing. So I'm guessing that even bulls that, unless the bull just straight off does the Mike Tyson route and takes the matador out right away, by the time the end of the fight comes, the bull is probably going to bleed out anyway.
I have never seen a bullfight. I've never seen a bullfight.
I've not really seen one, but I've seen there's a movie, I can't think of what it was called, but it took place, and one of the scenes was they went to a bullfight, and I'm almost positive that it was a real bullfight, and it's I don't know, I guess I can kind of see the I can't even say there's no beauty in it. I can see I don't know. The Spaniards have this. They seem to have this love and see this beauty and whatever in it. But at the end of the day, man, it's pretty fucking gory.
No, I've not seen it. I probably will have to look it up. But yeah. But this story, the one you just put your finger on, there is justice in that.
There is. I do, and I hats off to Mark David of Hillsborough, who reportedly injured the bull elk on Saturday the 29th with a bow and arrow while hunting on private property near Trask Road East in Tillamook, Oregon.
Is there a wanted sign for the bull? I wonder if the arrow is still sticking into him.
Yeah, the 66-year-old could not kill the 5x5 animal that day.
5
and also, I'm not sure what does that mean? 5 feet tall by 5 feet wide?
No, he's larger than 5 feet.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Anyway, killed the animal that day and also failed to find it before nightfall. So he decided to search the injured bull the next morning, according to Oregon State Police. David and the property owner went out at around 9:15 a.m. on Sunday in search of the animal. After locating the elk, the victim tried to kill it again, but the injured animal attacked him and gored him in the neck with his antlers. The landowner attempted to help David, but was heard saying "fuck this shit" as he.
Did you just editorialize that? Was that Brian right there, or did he really say that?
No, he was like "fuck that shit" as he and made for his nearby truck. State police said.
I'm sorry.
The police added that after an investigation, the elk was killed and its meat was donated to the Tillamook County Jail. What the fuck?
Wow. Huh. AKA the cops ate it.
And on that note, peoples, I want to remind everyone again to like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to this podcast, like this episode, and share it with friends.
That's right.
That's what we want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And,
that's exactly what we want.
Yes. And on that note, again, I see there. On that note, I think that's my verbal tick of the night. On that note.
Yeah, better than a courting.
All right, Joe. Let's wrap this puppy up.
Excellent. Hey,
all right.
This was a good time.
Yeah, this was a fun one. So, what are you doing anything this weekend?
Besides being awesome, not really.
Oh, just Just being awesome. You do that that's a 7-day-a-week thing for you, though, isn't it?
Joe High staple.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I'm gonna. Apparently, I need to go alcohol shopping.
Yeah.
So once I get stocked up, you know what? It's up for grabs. What happens?
Well, too much sobriety is bad for you, man.
I've been sober for like 2 weeks now, man.
Yeah, hey,
I'm proud of myself.
That could be a habit for me.
You know what's weird is that I feel better. I'm sure there's no correlation there.
Nah.
So yeah, I'm going to have to undo that this weekend.
Yeah. One thing in that liver is thinking.
And I think have F1. I think F1 races again this weekend. So can't help but look forward to that.
Even better.
Last week's race was a clusterfuck, and it turned out that the people that always win didn't win, and the people who never win won, and last week was probably one of the funnest races I've watched in 5 years. Yeah.
I mean, that's what you should hope for more of, right?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. I don't expect to see it again this season, but yeah, it just the way things worked out. Like I said, Lewis Hamilton, who always wins, he just made a major mistake, and he ended up getting put from the front of the race to the very back, and he couldn't recover from it, and so all these teams that rarely don't even make the podium was up there. So it was last week was a really fun race to watch. I'd like to see more of them, but I digress. I know that probably nobody gives a fuck about that. So
crickets.
Yeah, crickets. Oh, I need to get me some cricket sound effect. That'd be great.
Crickets. Yeah, that's a classic.
I'll work on that. All right, Joe. 7 days. Be here. Be square.
No. I think you got that a little twisted.
Be here or be square.
That's right.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
Later.